first impressions count, right? I think we can all agree on that. But let's make it really obvious. Has your impression of me just taken a bit of a nosedive? Is the ironing board putting you off? Can you even see me and hear me properly? All right, I think I've made my point. I did that to highlight how important a first impression can be and how much of an opinion we form on basic, albeit important details. So have you stopped to consider what first impression you might be presenting with your website? Are you really representing you and your business at its very best? If you're interested in exploring some ideas about how to improve your website and therefore your online reputation, then keep watching. So according to psychological science, it can take as little as 6 seconds for someone to form their first opinion of you. And if you think that's daunting, then check this out. According to research by Google, it takes even less time when it comes to your website. We're talking milliseconds, 50 milliseconds to be precise. As our eyes scan the homepage for clues as to whether we want to hire that service or buy that product, we're taking in an awful lot of information and processing that. To help explain this further, I'm going to show you a quick screenshot of a website advertising for bath and kitchen reglazing, just to be niche. So, first impressions? By contrast, here's another company offering the same service. Which did you prefer? Which one was easier to absorb and understand? Which company would you put your faith in? My guess is it might have been the second one, and that's for a whole host of reasons. But simply put, it leads back to the same point, the impression that you got of how professional their service was. And that's because they had a more professional looking website. We actually get very little information about their relative costs or their years of expertise or positive testimonials or anything like that. But just in that 3-second shot that I showed you, you and other potential customers are making those decisions about whether they want to even explore the rest of the site and find out. So what can you do to improve your website? I'm going to share with you 3 tips today, and I think they're all pretty vital and something that you can start working on today. So first things first, how does it look? You obviously want to put together a website that looks sleek, modern and professional, regardless of what industry, service or products you're selling. You don't want it to look like it was created 20 years ago, like this one. If you're really paying attention, you'll have noticed that website was George R.R. Martin's, the writer of Game of Thrones. And that website was actually functional up until about 2011. It certainly doesn't match the quality of his work, I don't think. His website has since been overhauled, and now it looks like this. A little bit better, I think you'd agree. So what's key to a good-looking website? Well, you want users to know what you're doing right away, preferably within that 50 millisecond window I was talking about earlier, but just do your best with that. According to a study by Nielsen Norman Group, most web users' eye tracking movements follow roughly an F shape. That is, starting top left, they scan across, then they drop down and scan across again, then they'll scan all the way down the left-hand side. So that's worth bearing in mind when considering the layout of your page and where you want to place things like your logo, company name, images, graphics, text boxes, and so on. Also, you can use this idea in a sort of counteracting way. So if there's anything you want to draw attention to that's on this side of the page, then you can use things like coloured buttons, boxes, and graphics to do that. And this also leads on to a more general rule, especially with your homepage, and that's less is more. Okay, so that's not strictly true, but you do need to consider what you need on that homepage to make a good first impression and what can be put somewhere else to be found later on. Global Reach, HubSpot, and Impact BND all have different ideas about what makes a really good homepage. So I've compiled that into a list that you can find here, or there's a link in the comments below. Now, this probably shouldn't serve as a strict checklist, but you could use it to review your own current website or give you some ideas about what you might want from a new one. And again, it's important to consider how this all comes together visually, so don't just shove everything on your homepage if you don't need it. See what works for you. And that leads us on to the next point. What does it do? So as I mentioned in Digital Dilemma number 1, your website is your best information destination. With the social media platforms constantly changing their algorithms and making it quite tricky for us to be seen sometimes, your website is the one place that people can always have access to. And once they open up your website, what will they find? Well, that's really up to you. So I tend to offer my clients a 4-page package. So that includes a home page, an about page, a services page, and a contact page, which is a pretty good foundation. But then you've got the opportunity to expand on that. For example, by including a blog page where you can showcase your experience and your expertise within whatever industry you're in. Videos do a similar thing, only visually, and they can really help drive traffic to your website too. According to SEO Tribunal, companies who blog can receive up to 97% more links to their website. And with YouTube being the second biggest search engine behind Google, it makes sense for you to try and get on that platform too. You can also create an e-commerce website where you can sell your products directly, so you don't have to use a third-party seller such as eBay or Etsy, and that works really well for some businesses. The best thing about all of this is that you can design your website to fit your needs and requirements and those of your customers, rather than trying to limit yourself within the narrow parameters of social media. And lastly, we need to look at how does it run? So this is the functionality of your website. Back to our original statistics about how long it takes to make a first impression. Research by Google has found that 53% of mobile users will abandon a site if it takes longer than 3 seconds to load. So it's crucial that once you've created this incredible website, it actually loads quick enough to grab people's attention and stop them from going somewhere else. Lots of website packages offer mobile optimization, and this can really help with that. It also ensures a professional looking continuity between the desktop version of your site and the mobile one. Worth considering when around 40% of people will only search using a smartphone, according to TechJury. I've given you a lot to think about, but please don't be put off. It all comes back to that simple compare and contrast that I did with you earlier. What impression do you want to give people with your website? Having an up-to-date website leads people to forming a more positive first impression of you. So if you're thinking of overhauling your current website, or you're going to create a new one, then hopefully these tips and ideas can help you to present your most professional and best digital self. Please hit the subscribe button and also leave comments for me below, especially if you have a new digital dilemma for me. Thanks for watching.